Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for TikTok to turn up. And hello, Lydia. You've been here before, haven't you? Dr. Pepper, PhD. It's funny. Okay. I'm also filming these on YouTube at the same time, and I'm splitting all my lives in half now. So I'm going to do half TikTok. Then tonight I'm going to move over to Instagram. Sometimes I start on Instagram and then move over. So if you want to join me there for the second half, so I'll do a full hour, but it'll be the first half on TikTok, the second half on Instagram, because I'm growing on Instagram. So I want to serve that audience also. Whereas I've just been doing lives every day on TikTok for about a year and a half now, but I'm splitting them up now. So, and I'm not going to do a big introduction anymore because I've only got 30 minutes on this platform before I move over. So I'm just going to do quickly, just go in the link above. You'll see everything I've got to offer in my business, the free behavior board, the mini toddler courses, the big boot camp course, and then my coaching if you want to work with me. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. And I'll do my best to answer them. And all of these lives are filmed on YouTube for the full hour. So I don't, it's just like I split up the TikTok and the Instagram, but the whole hour is on YouTube. Okay, number one gifter badge. Thank you so much. I learned a lot from you. Excellent, New York. Excellent. That's what I'm here for. That's why I keep turning up, because if I wasn't helping anyone, why would I do this every day? I actually love doing it, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I was providing some help to someone. If I help one person every day, it's well worth it. I love parenting. I want everyone to enjoy parenting as much as I did. Okay. Is it possible for a 1-year-old to start throwing tantrums? She throws herself back. Oh yeah, newborns can do it. You know, a newborn that can't, my son would do this. He had tantrums when he was a toddler and I knew he was going to have them. Anyway, because when he couldn't get on the boob right away, he would start to turn red and cry and then I couldn't get him on. Whereas my daughter would just patiently wait forever. So they're born with a temper. That's where tantrums come from. They're either going to have them or they're not. So like I've never had one. My daughter never had one. My son had them. So it's just a different temperament. They're born with that. My daughter hates me. No, she doesn't. She loves you. You might just annoy the heck out of her right now. That's all. How old is she? Okay. My daughter has been having a hard time with kids saying she is hairy on her arms and back. She's 8. Just say so. Okay. I don't want to tell you my gut reaction. I know exactly what I'd say. I would say, yeah, well, my parents are gorillas, so I don't have as much hair as they do. I always used humor. That's why I was never bullied. But it doesn't come naturally to most kids, but I was doing that from like the really young. But yeah, here's what you do with bullying. You agree with the bully and then you defer and try and use humor. So I'll tell you what I did. I was in grade 2 and it was the first and only time anyone ever tried to bully me. And I was all by myself in the hallway because I'd had to go to the bathroom in the middle of class. So it was really exciting. I come out into an empty hallway. Like you just never see that, right? I was only in grade 2. And then coming out of the principal's office was the grade 5 school bully. He was huge and scary and mean. And he saw me and he was like licking his chops. He thought, oh, this is going to be fun. He's like this, right? So he comes right up in my face. And my last name when I was a kid was Hanky. So he went like this, Hanky Panky. And I said, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. He never came near me again. No one ever came near me again. I had a mouth on me. I could defend myself. But I hadn't actually had a mouth on me or defended myself. What I'd done is I'd managed him without even knowing what I was doing. I agreed with him. So you always agree with the bully, make fun of it, and then defer or change the subject, or you got to give him an out. If you don't give him a safe out where he can save face, he'll come at you again. Okay, so when you're teaching this to your kids, you role play it. Okay, when you're role playing, don't use what they're being teased about, because even if you're role playing, it can still hurt. Say something like, oh, I hate your purple hair, or something that isn't true. Unless they have purple hair, then don't use that. But something like that. So if you have hairy arms, say, yeah, the whole family's hairy. That's why we all call ourselves the hairy, so like whatever your last name, the Harry Smiths or something, or my last name should be Harry. Like try and make fun of it. That throws the bully right off. And then say, what are you going to have for lunch? Or what are you doing? What PlayStation game do you like or something? So you got to change the subject though. You agree with them, use humor if possible, and then you change the subject. Role play that with your child. Telling them what to do kind of doesn't help. You got to role play it so they've acted it out. The more they've practiced this at home, the easier it just comes out when they're out in real life, okay? So yeah, bullying is one of my quickest things to solve unless it's ongoing or physical. Physical is different. That's up to the adults to solve that problem. Exactly, I tried doing that. Was that the bullying? Sorry, I missed the name. Yeah, I said I was called Sasquatch. Excellent. Yeah, you gotta agree with the bully. They're so ridiculous. Um, someone was on here. I don't get a lot of this anymore, but when you first go online, I blew up on TikTok real fast. You get haters like you wouldn't believe. They come after you with a vengeance. They didn't know who they were up against. So every time they'd come after me, I'm laughing. Oh, good one, good one. And then they just all went away. So yeah, they're looking to upset other people because they want to share their misery. All bullying, it comes from a sense of insecurity and misery. All insecurity is misery. So that's where it comes from. Once you understand that, especially as an adult, it's easy to deal with, right? That's why I'm like, stuff like that just doesn't bother me. I think, well, you're just showing your misery. And yeah, doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. My son hitting me back every time his dad telling him no. He always picked to hit on me, but not his dad. Maybe he's afraid dad will hit him back. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how old he is. But if he's hitting, put down no hitting. If he's 3 or over, use the behavior board that's free in the link above and put down no hitting as his rule. And there's a consequence after he hits. Look it up. It tells you how to do all that. That's free in the link above. Everything I have is in the link above. 16-month-old hits you. Check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. It's a little mini course, and it's toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Or so, I don't know what I called it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, check that one out. But basically, it's consistent corrective actions when they're under the age of 3. You say no, and you sort of just gently push them away, like just let them know. No, and you take their hand, whatever they hit with, and just push them away. Then go about your business. The next time they go to hit, prevent it. Grab them and say no. Don't let them keep hitting and then do that. So you prevent it all the other times. It's hard work. They don't learn the first 10 times or 50 times even. They'll probably learn on the 150th time, but they'll remember the one time you didn't do it. Consistency is everything. Someone asked me a difficult question yesterday, and I hate this question. I talk about this a lot. Is my least favorite clients to get? No, I don't mean it that way. What I mean is my most unsatisfying clients to work with are the ones who have a newborn and a toddler. There's only so much the mom can do. All the advice I have in the world, if she's stuck breastfeeding a newborn, she's got a toddler running around wrecking the house. You see, like, it's kind of like there's only so much I can do to help her. That's frustrating for me, and her, and you too, of course. 3.5, she hits me all the time and speaks with so much attitude. That's okay. We're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching you. And when you're a leader, that does not happen. It just would never happen. If you're a leader, they would never talk to you in any disrespectful way, and they certainly would never hit you. Check out my course. It's called the Boot Camp Course. 3 to 12-year-olds teaches you how to be a leader so that does not happen. Check out my free behavior board. That's completely free. It just sort of shows the start of all this and and you put no hitting. See if that works. That might be all you need. But if she's got attitude, the whole thing, you might want to really work on your leadership skills. They just don't disrespect a leader. It's just impossible, really. Think about it this way. Have you ever had like someone that you really look up to, like a coach or a teacher or a boss, someone that you just admire, and they bring out the best in you, they make you feel good about yourself? Would you ever be rude to that person? No. Why not? Because they're your leader. You look up to them. That's what you want to be for your children. They're going to like you. They're going to look up to you. They're going to tell you everything. You're going to be a safe place to land. You're their leader. You're their mentor. Look at it like that, more like a mentor. Okay, any tips on how I can encourage confidence and positivity in my 9-year-old daughter? I just did a video on that. I got so many different things going on here. Just a sec. Got too many screens. I can't cope. What? Where is it? Oh, here it is. I probably did this yesterday or 2 days ago. It's a video on TikTok. How to raise kids with high self-esteem. It goes into that. By the way, self-esteem comes from within, not from without. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't come from others. It comes from within. Now, the way you do that is you guide them into making good choices so that they're proud of themselves. When they're proud of themselves, their self-esteem goes up. If they're acting out and being rotten all the time, their self-esteem is in the toilet. Absolutely, it's in the toilet. So work on your leadership, which encourages them to make good choices and treat people with respect, because you treat them with respect. It's got to be mutual, right? Then they're proud of themselves and their self-esteem goes up. Leaders raise kids with high self-esteem, confidence, and all that stuff. It's all good stuff. 20-month-old started waking again for milk. Will this do her any harm? I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know if it's going to do her any harm, but if she's waking up in the middle of the night and she's 20 months old, check out my bedtime battles course. You might want to check that out. They don't, as far as I know, unless there's some medical condition, they can sleep through the night at 20 months old without getting up for a feed. And milk is liquid food. So my 19-month-old says no to me a lot. I'm still stern with what I want him to do. Will he stop eventually? I don't know what you mean by stern. I don't know. That always brings up the old-fashioned authority style parenting, and I don't teach that. So I don't know what you mean by stern, but yeah, they'll eventually outgrow that. I ignore the word no. I could care less if they say no to me. I'm like, whatever. It's going to happen no matter what you say anyway. I'm in charge. I'm the leader, so. Okay, I'm also filming on YouTube at the same time. And you said I'm the leader. Good for you. Yeah, it's just a stage. They're going to go through stages. I'm going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Okay, these are my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. By the way, you know what's interesting is people hire me and they've got older kids and they've also got a toddler. They never ask me anything about the toddler. Sometimes I'll just bring it up just so I can tell you this. I'll say, do you want to talk about the toddler? And they go, nah, they're just crazy. Like they've already survived the one toddler. They get it. You can't figure toddlers out, which is one of my 5 points. So my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you bond with them when you enter their world. You don't bond with a 3-year-old at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining. When you're teaching them right from wrong, when they're under the age of 3, it's all about consistent corrective actions, not words. They're not listening, they're watching. Okay, and number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They seem crazy, but it's just that they haven't developed sanity yet. If you've only been in the world for 2 years, and for one of those years you were a potato laying on a mattress, I mean, come on, how could you possibly figure them out? They haven't formed yet, so don't try and figure them out. Sometimes they'll go like this and rub poop on the wall. To some toddlers, that makes perfect sense. So don't try and figure them out. How can I become a leader? Keep watching me. I have a whole course on that. If you have a 3 to 12-year-old, it's my boot camp course, which teaches you how to be a leader. But just keep watching. It's all the same stuff. Huge part of this is fun. You want to be fun with your kids. That's why if you look at the behavior board, a lot of the disciplines for you, if you yell, you have to play with them, hide and seek with them for 10 minutes or something. You have to be accountable. That's why you're on that behavior board too. But a lot of this is fun, is a lot of power with little ones especially. I used to say I worked with hundreds of kids and troubled teenagers and everything. And my weapon was fun. I always said my weapon of choice was fun. I used that as leverage. I wasn't so much fun if they were misbehaving. So yeah, and they wanted fun Lisa. And I was funny with teenagers, but I was fun with little ones. So that was my weapon. I always called it my weapon. It's not really a weapon, but you get it. I always think I'm funny, but not that funny, is it? Well, okay, so questions? By the way, I'll be moving over. I'm only halfway through this. I'm splitting all my lives in 2 from now on because I'm growing quite a bit on it. I'm quite quickly on Instagram right now. So I'm going to be doing half on TikTok and then the other half on Instagram. It depends on which order. Tonight's just TikTok first. And then YouTube is the whole hour. Do they not understand you are a leader until they are 3? They can understand you're a leader, but they don't have impulse control yet. Okay, so even though they know you're a leader and you mean what you say and you do what you say and you say, you know what I mean? They don't have impulse control yet. It takes a long time to learn that. Okay, now they can learn that they can actually learn to not touch a hot oven because they'll get burnt several times first though. That's how they learn. They learn through the hard way, physical. They learn through actions. They will eventually stop touching it, but they don't really think. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction. Some of my clients are child psychologists, and they've told me the type of learning that is. I kind of remember what it is, but I don't like to use anything that sounds fancy because that's not my style. Because I didn't come up with it, and I'm not trained in any way. But anyway, they learn through, and like a knee-jerk reaction is what I call it. But that's it. So they may know you're a leader, but they don't have it. They can't control themselves, is what I'm saying. They're just forming. Toddler boy, 2-year-old hitting. Check out my toddlers who hit and bite, etc. It goes through a process. Okay. Okay, 4-year-old asking over and over for things after being told no. What's the difference? Okay, well, that's learned behavior. Obviously, it's worked in the past. At 4 years old, they only do what works. It must have worked in the past. You must have been inconsistent and said, okay, fine, you can have it. You had to have. That would not happen unless you did that. So you know you grew it, so now you got to ungrow it. So what you do is you say, if you keep asking, there might even be a discipline if you keep asking. There might even be a consequence if you keep asking. So, but ignore it for a while, and then I would just get to that. If they just kept saying, but I want it, say, I said no. I'd only say that once. Once I've said no, I would only repeat myself once, but I would come in hard with that. I'd say, I said no, like real serious with that second one. Then after that, if they keep at you, say, I'll tell you what, if you keep at me with that, let me think here, no media for 24 hours. How does that sound? Your choice. So put it to them like that. And you always hope that they break the rule. The reason is that's your opportunity to exercise your leadership. I'm always thrilled when the kids break the rules because that's the parent's opportunity to exercise their leadership. So then he comes at you, but I said I wanted it. You were unfair. That's it. 24-hour media blackout starts now. Do you understand? I hate you. I didn't know. It's not fair. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? Like, I just wouldn't keep. You don't have to answer that. You don't have to explain yourself to them. The reason I said no is because you don't go down that path. That's the please your parent style. That's a disaster. I know it's trendy, but it's a disaster. 100% my fault in the past. I know it is. So do you, and that's good. Now you know how to fix it. But that's good. It means that if you invented that habit, you can uninvent it. You can take it away. It's identifying the problem is 99% of the problem. Once you've identified it, then you can fix it, right? Parenting's the hardest job in the world with the least amount of training, yet everyone expects you to be an expert, especially you. Doesn't make any sense, right? I worked for the kids for like 20 years, about a little bit less than that, before I had my own. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. Who does that? That's weird. Anyway, even back then, I was 11, and the daycare ladies kept asking me, how do you do that? They're so good with you, and yet they still want to be with you. I didn't know how to explain that, but I was always good at being a leader. I was good at leading with fun and then correcting the bad behavior, but I always focused on the good kid by being fun with them and making them like themselves. Leaders make kids like themselves. They bring out the best in them. That's what it's all about. You don't want obedient little soldiers. I never told my kids what to do. Like, why would I? That's the old-fashioned authority style. Sure, you can watch TV tonight. As soon as you've done your chores. Oh, okay, and they'd run around doing them. I was trying to think of, I had a funny story I told a client yesterday. Sugar, what was it? It pertained to that. I can't remember what it was. If it comes to me, I'll tell it. I got a million funny stories. Okay. If you do continuations, like someone just said, how can I get this to stop? I can't go back and check. I get too many questions flying. And also I get dizzy when I scroll backwards. The only time I'll do it is if you guys are talking to each other and I get like a sticky beak. I want to know what you're talking about. Then I'll scroll back. I'll suffer the nausea to scroll back. I'm Snoopy. 3-year-old biting and pinching me whenever they're mad, no consequences help. Okay, so they only do it when they're mad. If they do it during a tantrum, that's different. I have 2 courses. One is tantrums, one is toddlers who bite, hit, etc. They're different. If they bite or hit during a tantrum, that's the tantrum course because you treat it very differently. If they hit and bite just because they didn't get their own way and they're not having a tantrum, that's the other course. So check that out. They're approached very differently. Tips on sharing. Okay, they can learn to share quite effectively by 3 years old and 9 months. That's the age. I've always said that. I've been saying that for 50 years. That's when they can learn empathy. It doesn't mean they're going to do it, but that's when they can really get that, oh, I'm not the only one in the world. Other people have feelings too. They start to understand they're not the only ones in the world. I've seen it like with hundreds of kids. Anyway, so they can start learning. Doesn't mean they're going to be good at it. With little ones under 3, it's a wash. Don't even try. You just teach them not to grab things off other people. You cannot teach a 2-year-old how to share. They might do it when it's fun, but if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. See what I mean? Anyway, I'll teach you how I taught kids how to share. Let's say this is like 3 and over. So let's say there's one swing and there's 2 kids. Here's what I would do. I'd say, I'll tell you what, we're going to take turns on the swing. And I would do this ahead of time. Like I like to plan things out and I like to be organized before there's even a problem. So I would say, we're going to the park, and if there's only one swing, because it's been a problem in the past, let's say, so we're going to take turns. Each kid is going to, 2 kids, 1 swing. You're each going to get 2 minutes on the swing. But the one who goes first, we're going to figure that out by flipping a coin first. Or there's no coins anymore, but whatever, just pick a number kind of thing. So we're going to flip a coin to see who goes first. The first turn only gets 1 minute. So is that a good thing to go first? You only get half the time, and then every other turn after that. Here's the thing. You have a timer. You always look official, like you're a sports coach. You're timing it. Beep, beep, 2 minutes. Okay, switch over. And you physically switch them if they won't do it, okay? So, and if one kid's tantruming because you took them off the swing, they don't get back on until they've stopped tantruming. They'll learn. They will learn. Anyway, so then 2 minutes each, and you just really time it all out. But here's the whole thing. They'll usually get sick of that, and then they'll just end up going and doing something else anyway. You know, like you've sort of you can't just teach kids not to grab. You have to teach them how to manage sharing. I'll tell you a funny story. My kids are 5 years apart, and my son had Lego. He was 8 years old, and his little sister was 3. She was at that age. They were starting to interact, and at 3 was the very first time she ever said no to him. She was his little servant, like a little butler to him. He'd tell her to go do that, and she just idolized him. She did whatever he said. When she turned 3, I'll never forget it. She was sitting they were at the dining room table. We were doing some activity, and he says, "Oh, here, give this to me." And she stopped. She looked at him, and then she looked at me, and she said, "No." And my son and I both looked at each other like, wow, that's the first time she'd ever said no to him. Anyway, she was starting to stand up for herself, right? Because he was a really nice big brother, but he was definitely in charge. She didn't like that anymore. She wanted to be in charge sometimes. Anyway, it was his Lego, so they were in the other room. I was in the family room. They were in the living room. He'd set up all the Lego. He was going to play Lego with her for the very first time. She was really excited. They were going to do war. So they each had all their men assembled on either side of the coffee table, whatever. So I heard them starting to argue in the other room, and they never argued, not what I could hear anyway. So I said, "Are you guys arguing?" And then I said, "Do you want me to stand up and come in there and deal with it?" Like that's how I did it. And then they'd both usually go, "No," because then everything would get put away. And I'd just say, "That's it, you know, well, maybe we'll try again tomorrow and you can get along." That's how I normally would handle it. But my daughter says, "Yes, please." She wanted me to go in there. So I thought, wow. So I go in there. I'm all excited. I love all this stuff. So I go in there, and she's smiling like you wouldn't believe. My son's like this. He's all nervous looking. So I said, "So what's going on here?" I knew right away when I saw it. She said, "It's not fair. He's got all the great men, and I've got all the really silly men. He had separated the war. She had like 3 times the amount of men that he did. But he had all like the cool looking Darth Vader ones that were all flat capes and everything. You know, the big swords and all that. She had the dorky little Where's Wally ones, you know, the ones that were just holding a little hammer, and they were all sitting down. They had red and white stripes and yellow pants. I mean, they were real. She had all the dorky looking ones. She didn't like that. So I said to him, by the way, I love this stuff. I never had to discipline my kids. Like they were so easy usually. This is where I shine. I love this stuff. So anyway, I said to my son, I said, "So do you think that's fair?" And he goes, "Mm-hmm." And his chin started going up. They get like that when they're on shaky ground. And I said, "So you think that her side is just as good as your side?" "Mm-hmm." And his chin's getting higher. He's getting scared because he knows I got a smile on my face. I'm loving this. He knows I got a plan. So I said, "So you'd be just as happy with her side as yours?" And he goes, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Fine, then switch." Boy, did he change things around after that. He made it really fair. If anything, he gave her more good men. Anyway, so that's how you deal with it. You go in, you take charge, and you teach them how to share. I've got another sharing story, but I won't go into all that. I've done the videos. I have 3 sharing stories, 3 different ways to share. If you just type in Bratbusters sharing, they'll probably all pop up. There's another 3rd one with the cake, how I manage the cake. Anyway, okay. So that's sharing. Take charge, show them how to do it. But my attitude was, they knew when I came in the room, everything was probably going to get put away. Because if they can't, I had no tolerance for arguing, none. And they knew that. So, but the fact that she wanted me in there, I was loving it. Okay, ideas for chores for 7-year-old boy. My kids from the age of 3 had to do 3 things every single day. They had to put all their toys away, but because I did a toy rotation system, they only had 5 toys out, so it was no big deal. They had to put away all their toys. Plus, I'm a minimalist, really fussy, organized person. So there was a spot for everything, and it was all very organized. I like open bookshelves where you can see everything. Nothing's underneath stuff where you have to throw it around. Oh, I hate stuff like that. So messy. Anyway, so I had a spot for everything on the bookshelf, and it was changed around once a week because I do a toy rotation system. So they had to put their toys away every day. When I asked, I said, we're heading out, and I never left a dirty house. I said, we're heading out, so make sure your toys are put away, right? And then we can go. And they run around putting 5 toys away. They also had to make their bed, but I'm a real fuss fart. They would make it sloppy, and then I'd go in later on and clean it all up the way I liked it. But they didn't have to do it fussy. They were 3 years old. And then they also had to put all their laundry away. I did laundry every single day, and I left an empty hanger and an empty spot where their rolled up underpants or whatever went. So it was very quick. It was one outfit they had to put away every day. They never thought anything of it. And they knew that you have to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. They understood from the age of 3 that TV would not go on if there was a chore that wasn't done. That's why I never told them what to do. I waited till they asked for something. Can we please have a snack? Sure, your chores done? As soon as your chores are done, I like the as soon as method. And they'd go, oh, sorry, Mom. They'd run around doing it. You see, I taught them to be responsible, self-disciplined, responsible. That's what you want. Piece of cake, right? You don't even have to tell them what to do. And that's true. That is true. I never told my kids what to do. It's very rare. Unless we were learning something new. I don't answer, and I don't talk about your niece or nephew. The reason is I give parenting advice. If I gave you any advice on someone else's kid and you did it and they didn't like it, why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? There's someone else's kids, not yours. Oh, there was a video you mentioned not doing timeouts. What's an alternative? There's 3 things I hate. The one I hate the least, that I don't like, I don't hate the most, is timeout. Hate it. Can't stand it. I think it's mean. It's humiliating. Imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss said, you go stand in the corner. You're not even worth talking to. It's humiliating. Kids feel the exact same way. I would never do that to a person. So anyway, timeout I hate. The other one is diversion. That's the one where, because you never divert with broccoli. It's always it's when they're doing something bad. So they're doing something bad and you go, here's a lollipop. You never say, here's broccoli, right? It's always reward for bad behavior. The other one is the countdown method. When they're doing something bad and you say, you better stop that by the time I count to 3. So he's pounding his little brother and he starts pounding harder. And then you go 3 and he goes break. Where's the lesson? Where's the accountability? Where's the consequence? There isn't one. Plus he's just learned I can do anything I want for 3 counts. I can be as rotten and as mean as I want for 3 counts. It's a total mixed message. It's a disaster. The only reason parents do that is they're afraid of disciplining, so they're hoping they don't have to. And it makes you look that way. Kids pick up on that. Oh, you're terrified of me. I'll keep pounding. They pick up on that. So yeah, what do you do instead? Check out the behavior board. If they're under the age of 3, it's consistent corrective actions. And 3 and over, you put a rule and a consequence. That's how you deal with it. And check out the behavior board. That is free. It's up above in the link. If you want to learn how to be a leader, it just goes into great detail about all this sex education, everything. 3 to 12-year-olds, that is the boot camp course. And if you want my personal help, that's the coaching. So I did the count and my 2-year-old doesn't listen yet. Well, of course they don't listen because countdown is teaching them it's okay to be rotten in the short term, but not in the long term. It's very confusing. Then they just think, I'll just be rotten all the time. I'll just keep hitting everyone all the time. They're going to do what they're going to do, right? They're going to do what you allow them to do. Okay, and her behavior is out of control and it's my fault. Of course it is. Their behavior is always our fault. Always. Their behavior is 100% a direct result of our parenting, which is the best news you can get because you can fix that. So yeah, own it. Say, yeah, geez, I sure messed that up. I know what I'm going to do in future. Don't go back and regret what you did in the past. Don't go back and have guilt and feel bad about yourself in the past. I hate it when my clients do that. I really do. It's I don't know why. It just upsets me. I had this one client. She's not doing it anymore. But she was always talking about what a rotten mother she was. And I told her, I said, I dread talking to you. I said, I hate hearing you beat yourself up. It upsets me. I get really emotional. Don't beat yourself up over the mistakes you made in the past. You know why? You did the best you knew how. You're on here. No bad parents on here. Only good parents are looking for answers. Parenting is the hardest job in the world with the least amount of training, and everyone expects you to be an expert, especially you. Stop beating yourself up and just go, yeah, that was yesterday. I'm going to learn how to do better tomorrow. Okay? Move forwards. Be solution-based. We all mess up. There was an old sitcom called Roseanne, the old one back in the day. It was fantastic. And one thing she said, I never forgot it. That was so funny. She says, we're all doing the best we can. We're all going to mess our kids up. It's just to what level? Like, we're all going to do stuff wrong. You could have 10 kids and do everything right, and yet one of them could turn out wrong anyway. Like, it's a bit of a crapshoot with kids, right? They're all completely different, and you just never really know. You just do the best you know how. God, I just went on a rant and I didn't even start coughing. I hope this cold is finally over. I'm so sick of it. I had to leave the gym this morning because I was coughing. I'm over with the cold, but I get really bad lungs, so everything gets congested, and it takes a few weeks to get all that up. Why am I telling you about my phlegm? Why am I doing that? Who cares? Oh, gosh. Okay. If my 12-year-old doesn't listen or gets in trouble because he cries and I'm not sure what to do, you get a 12-year-old. Okay, you're just coming out at the tail end of that boot camp course. You can still get the boot camp course. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there. But if you want to work with me, that would be coaching. If they're 13 and over, that's coaching. I don't have a course on teenagers yet. But yeah, you want to get respect now before he's a teenager. 15 is a magic age with boys. 15 is when the poop hits the fan. If they're going to get in trouble, it's almost always when they've just turned 15. Not maybe almost always, but probably 75% of it is when they just turned 15. That's when the poop hits the fan with boys. Girls is 12 to 16. So yeah, you can check out that boot camp course. And then at the least, check out the behavior board. That's free. Two-year-old who yells, screams, hits, nothing seems to work. Check out the toddlers who hit course. They all have a little bit of advice in there on how you manage toddlers, but basically they're going to do what they're going to do. You just have to step in and prevent it. So if they're hitters, you see it coming and you say no. You grab their hand, you say no, and then you walk away. They keep coming at you, you restrain them just for a few seconds and then look away. Don't keep looking at them. That's important. Makes you look scared. Like, this is what I do. I'd say no, and I'd hold their hand. Then I walk away. If they come at me again, I'd grab their hand, I'd say no. And then I'd continue to hold their hand, and I'd just look away like I'm bored. Not like you're mad. You're never angry. You're serious when you say no, but you're never angry. So I look away, and I'm just waiting. Then I let go. If she comes at me again, no. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. You're bigger than them. You can wait them out. Who's going to win that battle? It's got to be you. Oh, shoot. I'm going to move over to Instagram now. YouTube, it's the whole hour, but I'm splitting all my lives in half now because I've got quite a big following on Instagram now, too. So I want to serve them as much as I serve TikTok. So I'm going to go here. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Sorry, YouTube, I'm just moving over. I'm new on Instagram, but I've been getting quite a few followers, so I'm going to do a live on there too. Hello. I just came over from TikTok, so if you're joining me from there, welcome back. I'm doing half Instagram and half TikTok on my lives now. I don't know what order I'll be doing them in, but tonight it was TikTok. So I did TikTok, and now I'm on Instagram. So I won't do a big introduction. I'll just say in the link above, Edmonton. Hi, Edmonton. I'll just say, I didn't realize Edmonton is only a 3-hour drive from Calgary. I don't know why, but in my head, there was Calgary and Edmonton, but it's not like that. It's like Calgary and Edmonton. I just looked that up about a few months ago. I didn't know that. I've never been to Edmonton. I've just been to Calgary. Surrey. Oh, you're a neighbor, Surrey. I'm in the Olympic Village in Vancouver, so downtown. When's the last time I was in Surrey? I bike ride out there a lot. So yeah, that's where I've rode my bike from Surrey all the way to Fort Langley. I've done that many times and just about died coming home. Always seem to do it on the hottest day of the year too. I don't know why. Okay, so that's just for people around Vancouver that would know that. So sorry about that. Anyway, London, Ontario, welcome. Okay, so I just finished a half hour on TikTok and now I'm moving over to Instagram. I'm going to split all my lives in half now. So I don't know which one I'll do first. But anyway, and YouTube, it's just the whole hour is on YouTube. So if you go in the link above, you can get my free behavior board. You can download or you can buy one of my toddler courses or my big boot camp course, 3 to 12-year-olds, or you can hire me for coaching. That's all. It's all in the link above. It's all connected with my website and all that stuff. So you just need that one link above there. And that's everything I've got to offer in my business. Really simple. I've got a couple more, 2 or 3 more toddler courses coming up very soon. So the toddler courses are really popular. The most popular one is potty training. It is a process, step by step by step by step. Potty training one. Okay. Okay. Can you please tell me how long I can give TV to my 2 and 3-year-old in a day? Nobody can answer that for you. Nobody can answer that because nobody really knows. There is no set. I know everyone wants, how long should I be doing that? How long should I work out every day? How many calories should I eat? We all want a number. I can't give you that because I don't know. My kids, pretty much every day, I was happy for them to watch the show called Play School. It was in Australia where I raised them. It was on Channel 2, which is the government channel, and it was all kids programs. And it was educational. Like, it was really good. There was another show that I loved them to watch. I love them to watch anything where they were learning. Sesame Street used to be like that. Now it's just selling Elmo, as far as I can tell. Doesn't seem to be educational anymore. I don't know. It might still be. Maybe it's gotten better again, but it used to be good. But then it just was seeing be a sales thing for Elmo. That voice, I'll tell you, goes in, oh, I can't stand it. Thank God my kids never got into that, that voice. Anyway, so yeah, and then also there's another show that I really like for kids. It's called Art Attack, and it's the old one. I can't remember his name, but he was a young guy, kind of had curly hair, kind of light blonde hair, and it was called, it's British, I think BBC, and it's called Art Attack. Fantastic show for kids. So I'm not saying they should be sitting in front of the TV all the time, but if you want, that's one really good recommendation is Art Attack, which you can watch on YouTube. That Play School that was in Australia, that was like 30 years ago. I don't know if it's still running or if you can see it on YouTube, but it was really good. But I was not big on cartoons when they were little. In your experience, what age are kids usually diagnosed with autism? I don't like to talk about autism on here. I just don't, because I'm not a specialist in that. So I would feel like I'm just sort of out of my lane. I know what I think. I know my personal view on that, but that's all it is. It's not tried and true experiences with kids kind of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, but with autism, when I'm working with parents who have kids with autism, it's only on coaching. I only discuss autism on coaching. It's a specialty, but I don't generalize about when they usually pick it up. But yeah, I know the early ages, and I also know when they're often, but yeah, you can find that by looking it up. Okay, here, I like this. Bought your potty training course. I have a little mini course on potty training. Followed it all weekend, but still not fully potty trained. He tantrum every time I took him to the toilet, every 30 minutes. Okay. Okay. So you took him to the toilet. You did everything right. So I always suggest you take them to the toilet every 30 minutes. You give them a little treat. If you've completely failed and it hasn't worked, I always suggest you start it at 2.5. You've got more of a chance of it. Give it a break for a whole month. Put them back on diapers. Give them a break for a whole month, and then try it again. See how it goes. Sometimes it's just hit and miss. So yeah. And other parents have said it worked over a weekend. It's a bit of a, I don't know the success rate exactly. I trained my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. But I was already a leader too. It helps that they know, it helps that if you're already a leader, but it is part of teaching you leadership skills too. So it's kind of, but if they're really in charge, it's hard to get anything to work really well. But it is a really good exercise in starting to exercise your leadership. Give it a break for a month, go back. Don't keep trying and dragging it out. Just say, okay, fine, we'll do it again in a month. Pack everything up, give it a break. In daycare, they show them cartoons, and I don't know how to handle that since we don't have screen time. Okay, when you're sending your kids off somewhere, I would never tell those people how to deal with my kids. I just wouldn't. It's like I told my kids, I'll never tell my kids how to parent. I've got my first grandchild due in a few weeks. I'll never tell my kids I don't tell my kids how to run their lives, right? Like I would never tell, and I always say to them, they're and I wouldn't even tell them I'm not going to tell them how to parent because they know I wouldn't. It's not my style. It's not how I relate to my kids. But anyway, I don't never tell them how to parent. But when you drop your kids off at grandma's house, grandma's rules. So wherever your kids are, if you trust the person enough to drop them off, don't tell them how to deal with your kids. Like I just wouldn't do that. Lots of people did things I didn't agree with, like in schools and that with my kids. I never said a word. It's none of my business. I dropped my kids off. If they were abusing them, yeah, but I'd take my kids away and take them to court. You know what I mean? I'd put them in jail. But yeah, if they're just doing things that you don't like, if you're dropping your kids off somewhere, don't tell them how to deal with your kids. That's my real strong personal opinion on that. Yeah, if you trust them enough to drop them off there, don't tell them how to do their job. Like I've spent years in the back of classrooms supporting teachers, just dealing with the difficult kids up the back of the classroom. Teachers did lots of stuff I didn't like. Would I ever say anything? Would I ever judge them? God, no. Teachers are like gods to me. What a difficult job. So yeah, I just don't. None of us are perfect anyway. So listen, if that's what the daycare has to do to handle all those kids, then God bless them. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a daycare person. Okay. I hate saying God bless me. I always feel like a hypocrite because I'm not religious, but sometimes it just fits. How to help a growth mindset. That is far too fancy a term for me. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Your videos are amazing. My wife is 5.5 months pregnant and we're watching your stuff constantly. Excellent. You're psyching up for it, right? The toddler years, the baby years, I'm going to read out the 4 stages of parenting. And this is all about you. You're a different parent for all these different ages. When they're babies, 0 to 15 months, it's all the nurturing, the loving. They cry, you pick them up. It's all, I love you. You know. Then when they're toddlers, 16 to 35 months, in my mind, I've broken this up to what I see them as. So a toddler to me is 16 to 35 months. At that age, you're starting to teach them right from wrong. And it's all consistent corrective actions, not words. None of these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That is garbage. I know it's trendy, but that was invented for the mom to feed her needs, to make her feel good. Has nothing to do with the toddler. They're about consistent corrective actions, okay? So stop with the mini therapy sessions. I know they're trendy. 30 years ago, I saw those coming in and I thought, what a disaster. Anyway, and it is. Anyway, then you go through another stage. This is when you have a child, 3 to 12 years old. My course, the boot camp course, is 3 to 12-year-old because you're the same. They're very different, but you're the same. You're in full leadership zone. That's when your leadership is at its most powerful. 3 to 12 years old. They're trying to please you. They're looking to you for answers. They're looking to you for guidance. Then they're 13 and over, you change again. And then you have a teenager now. And I'm going to read my top 3 tips for teenagers. A lot of parents teenagers is my favorite age because I knew how to adjust my parenting. The only reason parents have a problem with teenagers is because they haven't adjusted their parenting. They haven't respected the fact that these people are turning into adults now. They're going to make mistakes just like you did. Okay, we'll get into that. My top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Listen to understand and show empathy. You do not listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. So listen to, I call it silent listening because you listen to understand, show empathy, and then shut up. You don't talk, you just listen. They will tell you everything when you get good at this. You're going to be a safe place to land. They're going to trust you. They won't help it. They can't even help it. They'll end up telling you everything, just like my kids did. And then number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You negotiate pretty much everything, okay? There's a process involved in all this. I'm simplifying it. And number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. They're going to make mistakes, like I said earlier, just like you did. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just save your energy for the big stuff because you're going to need it, okay? And also, when they do something stupid, when your teenager does something stupid, you say something like this. Well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age. Like, there's nothing wrong with being stupid sometimes. That's part of growing up, right? It's okay to make mistakes. So talk about the mistakes you made. Okay, advice for mealtime battles. That's one of the courses I've got coming up very soon. I don't know if that one's going to come out next. I've got a couple of them lined up. Anyway, mealtime battles. Refuses to eat foods that aren't snacks and sugar. Well, why have you got sugar in the house? You know, parents say, all they'll eat is chocolate. Well, I never had junk food in the house. My kids knew if they didn't eat broccoli, there was no ice cream waiting for them. So I'm really health food nut anyway. So it was easy for me. And plus I did make cookies and cakes and all that and muffins, but they were always very different from the ones the kids would get when they were out. There was hardly any sugar and there was full of like pureed spinach. Mashed up sweet potatoes. I could hide healthy stuff in anything. So, and my cakes were super heavy because they were full of, mashed up sweet potatoes or whatever. So, but yeah, just get a health-oriented household, and then who cares if they're fussy? Everything you've got in the house is healthy. I don't know what else to tell you with that. If a kid knows he's got sugar, if he knows he's got ice cream and potato chips waiting for him, why would he eat broccoli? See what I mean? If you're mixing it up, they're going to hold out for the stuff they really want. Salt and sugar is really addictive, and that's why I didn't really have any in the house. We didn't eat like that. So, yeah. But that's just my personal way I did it. I'm extreme that way. So, but it's just something to think about. Maybe you could modify it. Okay. What's the number one piece of advice for specifically a first-time dad to his son? I don't have any same-sex advice, like you're sort of the same parent to everybody. But as they get older, especially in the teen years, that same-sex parent, they tend to connect more with their own identity. The same-sex parent. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. So if you say to them, yeah, you should never smoke or drink, and you're sitting there with a beer guzzling every night and smoking, they're going to smoke and drink. Like, they're watching you. They're not listening to you at all. They learn through your behavior, not your words. They're watching you. So they watch everything you do. And try not to yell. I never yelled. I was never yelled at. Yeah, yelling is, most parents yell. Almost all my clients yell. It's very unusual I get a client who doesn't yell. It throws me off, actually. If I say, so do you yell? And I'm waiting to write down no yelling on the behavior board. And they go, no, we don't yell. And I'm like, I get that thrown off. It's that rare that parents don't yell, because you yell because it works in the moment. It's really effective short term, backfires big time down the road. You all know that. You don't want to yell. I get that. But you do it because it is really effective in the moment when they're little. It backfires down the road. Huge backfire. It'll come back and slap you in the face. Okay. So yeah, they're watching you. That's my best advice. They're watching you, not listening. So don't do all the lectures and all that. Just act the way you want them to act. Treat them with respect, and they'll treat you with respect. Grandparent versus parents. I don't know what you mean. Is that a question? I'm going to be a grandmother in a few weeks. My first grandchild, little girl. And actually, I just got one of her gifts in just now, just arrived. It's so much fun. Anyway, just a sec. I'm not excited about the grandchild as much as I am about seeing my son hold his daughter. That excites me. I get emotional when I think about that. I want to see my son be a dad. Being a grandmother never excited me. It just didn't. You know why? Because this will be me in the hospital. I'm holding my first grandchild for the very first time. And I'll hold her and I'll be looking at her, and then they'll say, can we have our daughter back? And I'll be, no. Like, you have to hand them back. That's the worst thing. I know grandparents say you get to hand them back. Parenting was the most fun I ever had. I never had any family around. I had no support, no help, nothing. I loved it. Like, I didn't want to hand my kids off to anyone. I loved it. So why would I want to hand off my grandchild? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's nothing like parenting, because it's like renting a car compared to owning one. There's someone else's kid. But I'm looking forward to seeing my son hold his daughter. That will get me going. That'll be it for me. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. Should I communicate because of this? Should I communicate the frequent pronunciation, I'm glad I said that right, mistake a teacher is making at daycare? My daughter is 3 and has very strong pickup on linguistics, already learns a second language. Okay, I don't worry, I don't sweat the small stuff. To me, that's in the small stuff category. Tell you a funny story. My son was the first one. And there was 5 years between them. I'd had heart surgery, back surgery, miscarriages. I mean, I'm just so many surgeries in between before. That's why it was 5 years between them. Anyway, so it was just him and I at home. His dad and I talk a lot, and I'm Canadian. I raised my kids in Australia, and his dad traveled. And he worked long hours, so he's home late, and my son would go to bed early. So it was me and him most of the time. My daughter, my son, and me. So when he first went to kindy, he had a Canadian accent. They couldn't understand him at all because it's hard to understand a new 3-year-old in the first place. And then he turns up with it was all Aussie slang, because that's all we talked about is Aussie slang. But they couldn't understand him at all. I thought it was hilarious. And so, yeah, I don't worry about all that stuff. I thought they said, we can't understand what he's saying. I said, oh, well, he'll learn. And to this day, he still we live in Canada now. he still sounds Aussie now because he was 15 when we moved to Canada, whereas my daughter was 10. She doesn't have an Australian accent. Anyway, my daughter went to grade 1 and she could not say like clock. She had to say it kalaka, kalaka. She couldn't say the C and the L together. She just couldn't do it. So it was kalak. So she started grade 1. I thought it was adorable. She started grade 1. The teacher said, you know, you might want to get her some speech therapy to fix that. And I didn't want to. I thought it was cute. Anyway, so I did. She only had 2 sessions. I never corrected her because I thought it was so cute. And I probably could have just corrected it. But anyway, I took her in because when the teacher says something, you kind of go, sure, okay. And so, yeah, it was 2 sessions and then she could say it. And I kind of regretted going. I missed it. So, because I love teasing my kids and I would tease her about it all the time. She loved it. It was fun. But yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. It's not a big deal. 4.5-year-old girl, super needy, doesn't know how to give space even when set up to do independent activities. You're not going to like this. She's got you wrapped around her little finger. She's 4.5. She knows what she's doing. I wouldn't call it needy. I would call it demanding. Yeah, think about that. Set her up and say, look, I'm going to go do something now. There you go, play on your own. And if she doesn't, that's on her. Don't keep giving into it. I would suggest that it's more manipulation than neediness. Yeah, that's my gut. I could be wrong. That's my gut reaction for sure. I would say that's what's going on. If she's got you wrapped around her little finger, that's okay. Now that you know that, you can deal with it differently, right? Yep. My kid who's 26 months old keeps throwing things. I keep using corrective behavior and take away what he throws, but he still does it. Please help. Okay, 26 months, so he's 2 and 2 months. Okay, so he keeps doing the same thing over and over again. That's a tough one for me to answer because I don't know what kind of parent you are and what tone of voice you're using and how you're doing it. A lot of this is body language and tone of voice. So I'm questioning, because usually that does work over a period of time. Could take a couple of weeks. Every single time it has to happen. Could take a couple of weeks. And it can become a game, but it depends on your tone. And so, yeah, if you want my help, you might want to hire me with that because you might just be doing something a little bit. Sometimes people will hire me and say, that course doesn't work. So they'll hire me. And I think, well, if you hate my course, why'd you hire me? But anyway, so then they'll tell me what they're doing. And I go, oh, that's what you're doing wrong. It's just sometimes the littlest thing that you're doing wrong. 26 months, 2 years and 2 months, they can pick up on your energy. And if you're really unsure of what you're doing, or if you look angry and you look frustrated and stressed, it won't work as well. So I'm just guessing at that. Just kind of, that's what I come up against a lot when people hire me, because they said, I've done it, it doesn't work. And they'll say, how do you do it? How do you talk? What do you look like? Are you angry? Are you stressed? Well, of course I'm stressed. Okay. Kids who are perfectionists and cry when they make mistakes. That's more of the poor sport department. So if it doesn't go the way I want, I'm going to have a fit. So perfectionist kind of makes it sound nice, but it actually is more of it's in the poor sport category. So I always told my kids, just do your best and have fun with it. Who cares how it turns out? So yeah, I always focused on the process and the effort rather than the result. So yeah, I'm guessing that's where that comes from. I always just go with my gut reaction. I've been doing this for like 50 years. So I've just dealt with hundreds of kids with hundreds of different tendencies, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong about everything I'm saying, but I'm just going from experience and my gut reaction. Sometimes my gut reaction just instantly I fly somewhere, and then sometimes I'll think, no, there's something else going on, you know? Lots of times people will hire me and they'll tell me exactly what's going on, and I'll say, so how did she respond? When they said, this is what we did, and we said, and I'll say, well, what did she say when you did that? And then they'll tell me, and I go, yeah, that's not what's happening. So it's just experience, but I could be wrong. Stranger things have happened. Okay, your advice has really helped with tantrums. I hear that every single day. I get emails and messages from people. That ignoring tantrums is huge. Once you get good at it, they just get it. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. And a tantrum is not feelings and emotions. It's just they didn't get what they want, when they want, and how they want it. It's just a loss of control over not getting their own way. And being a leader does calm their emotions down. If you've got kids that need therapy sessions at 2 years old, you've got bigger fish to fry. You got bigger stuff going on than just tantrums. I always know I get a lot of hatred on that ignoring tantrum stuff. And oftentimes when people send me messages and that they say, and they always tell me all their qualifications first, and I don't even know how to respond, but a lot of my clients are child psychologists. So you can be as trained as you want with kids, but a lot of this is just intuitive and experience based, right? So, and what they teach you in school when you become a child psychologist, it's not always what I would consider correct anyway. So, yeah, they're always very quick to tell me all their qualifications first. I don't answer. What's the point? Do you have a bundle that I can purchase? Oh, isn't that funny? That will be coming up. I've only got 4 toddler courses right now, but I will have 6 very soon, and there will be bundles. But I'm not sure when. I've got a lot going on right now. So, by the way, I just did an interview with CARE11 in Minnesota. I think they're an affiliate of Good Morning America. And I actually really like this girl, Alicia. She's the presenter. Also, she's the reporter. Like, she builds her own stories. I don't know if they don't all do that, right? Anyway, I really like the way she puts stories together. And we just did a story together on, I did it on I don't know where it is. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and she did a story on tracking kids. I want to talk about this because it's important. There's this real, do you track kids? Do you put those Apple Air tags or whatever? Do you track their phones? Like, my daughter and I track each other. We know where we are at all times. And we both feel safe with that. And also, we live very nearby. We live like a 5-minute walk away from each other downtown. So if I see, I'll go, oh, I'm heading out. I'll just see where she is. She might be at a supermarket I'm walking right past. So I'll go in and we'll shop together. We see each other every day just because of this tracker, really. So we're comfortable doing that. I can't get her husband on board. He doesn't want his mother-in-law tracking him. As if he would. Anyway, it's funny. So here's the thing. Tracking to me is just a safety issue. And with teenagers, you want to track your teenagers too. But it's got to be you don't track with discipline in mind with teenagers. You track for safety. And you have to have a trust relationship. So I'm all for tracking. I think it's wonderful. It keeps them safe. What if your kids ever went missing? Pretty good way of finding them, isn't it? Especially with little kids. Most people are on board with tracking little kids. What if they get off on the wrong stop on the school bus or something? You want to know where they are, right? But with teenagers, you don't use it as a discipline method. You use it as a trust and they should be able to track you too, by the way. It's got to be mutual. Everything's got to be mutual with kids, like respect-wise. So anyway, tracking, I'm all for it. But you don't force it on teenagers. You work on your trust and your respect first, and then hopefully they'll get on board with it. But they have to be in agreement with it. Oh, sugar, what did I do? Okay. Is it normal for a toddler to master a word or task and not do it again? Yeah, toddlers are crazy. Don't try and figure them out. That's my number 5 tip on how to parent toddlers. Don't try and figure them out. Toddler is under the age of 3. They don't make any sense. Don't try and make sense out of them. You can't make sense out of nonsense. And toddlers, cute as a button, all feet, no brains. They're just forming brand new, fresh human beings. What do you mean by consistent corrective actions? Okay, a consistent corrective action is if they take a toy and hit their little baby sister, whatever. You say no and you put that toy away. You take it away. That's the corrective action. You say no and you take that toy away, put it where they can see it but can't touch it for however long. I don't know. It could be an hour, it could be the rest of the day, depending on the age and that. But the next time they go for that little sibling, intervene before they do it. And you say no and you put it away again. Keep doing that. Consistent corrective actions. That's the correction. It has to be every single time. If you do it 9 times out of 10, they remember the one time you didn't. Kids remember your mistakes, not your successes. It's hilarious. My son was a teenager and he was laughing. We were just talking one day and he was teasing me about all the things I've done wrong as a mom. So we were laughing and laughing. And I said, what about all the stuff I've done right? And he went, huh? They remember all the mistakes, all the stupid things you did. But as soon as I said, well, what about all this great stuff I did? What? They remember your failures, not your successes. So yeah, he's going to remember the one time you don't take that. He's going to remember the time you got in a good hit. He's going to keep trying for it. So it usually takes 2 days to 7 days to get them out of that. It's got to be every time though. It's hard work. Someone said, this is hard. Yeah, it is. But it's hard initially and then it gets easy. It's like anything. It's hard, like it's me. I always say I don't clean a dirty house, I maintain a clean one, which I clean every day. I love cleaning. It's relaxing to me. And I'm not OCD, but a lot of people think I am, but I'm not. Really, I'm not. Anyway, but it's like that with parenting. It's really hard getting respect, but once you've got it, maintaining it's a piece of cake right through the teen years because you know how to do it. So it's just easy, but it is hard work initially. I absolutely love your content. I share it all the time. Or are you the one? I've only been on Instagram for a few months now, and it's growing really quickly. But I figure TikTok blew up overnight. I don't understand. And then TikTok stood still. Now Instagram's going. I can't figure out social media. I don't care. I've got enough numbers. It doesn't bother me, but I don't understand it. Like, why did I freeze on TikTok and then not? I can't figure it out. It's all the same content. YouTube, I haven't even started to think about that yet. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to end now because it's been 30 minutes on TikTok, but I'm going to tell you a funny story, so don't go anywhere. I did 30 minutes on TikTok, and then I did 30 minutes on Instagram. I'm splitting all my lives up now, half and half, 30 minutes on each. The whole hour is on YouTube. That's where I save all of my lives. They're not saved anywhere else. They're just on YouTube. I'm going to tell you a funny story. My son was about 3, and it was the first. I had friends over. She had 2 little girls, and it's the first time he ever saw a little girl naked before. And I could see him checking these little girls out. They were all in the backyard and sprinklers and that, and they were all little. They're 3 and 2 or 1 or something. Anyway, so he's checking her out, and I could see him looking and thinking and looking. And my friend was the same. We were laughing, like, look at him checking her out. Anyway, so later on, after they left, my son said to me, "Mommy, boys and girls are different, right?" Now, I used to have a journal that I'd write all their funny stuff in. I've still got it. Well, actually, I copied all the pages, but I threw the journal out. But I've still got all those funny things they used to say. And so he said, "Boys and girls are different, right?" And I was trying not to go, "Yeah," because I knew it was going to be funny. And I just said, "Yeah." And he said, "Because boys have a bum in the back and a penis in the front." And I said, "Right." Trying not to laugh. And he goes, "And girls have a bum in the back and a tiny little bum in the front." I thought that was so cute. Anyway, I'm going to end here on that note, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Now, tomorrow night is my regularly scheduled live, and it's Instagram at 5 o'clock, and then I'll be doing TikTok at 5:30. So I'm splitting them up. But 5 o'clock, I'll be here again tomorrow night doing a live. Thanks so much. Look at the link above if you want to see what I've got to offer. The behavior board's completely free. The toddler courses aren't. The boot camp course isn't. That's 3 to 12-year-olds. And then the coaching isn't free either. So you just go up anyway. But the behavior board's completely free. Anyway, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye now.